You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
Everybody's got a to-do list, dropping off dry cleaning, picking up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance, extra money in your pocket. It just may be the most rewarding to-do you do today. Plus, they have the funniest TV commercials, so that's got to count for something, folks.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast, Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Well, another exciting episode of Spike's Car Radio. We're here with our friend Graham Rahal, professional race car driver. It's so excited to have you here, Graham.
Thank you.
It's been a while, right?
I'd say it's about time we made it happen. It has been a while.
It has been a while. And Graham not only is racing for Indy, and I'm guessing you'll be back here for Long Beach Grand Prix very soon.
Sir.
Can you believe it's that time again, Zuckerman?
Time flies.
Long Beach Grand Prix. He's also a big-time Porsche guy. Big-time Porsche guy.
Well, I would say, yeah. I mean, definitely, and car nut in general. So,
what were you just doing downstairs because you got here early?
I was building a GT3 on my phone.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yes.
Now you understand.
Well,
so.
you know, my pops, he got an allocation, and so, you know, he can't seem to figure out how to spec one himself. So
your dad.
I've got to help.
Your dad is Bobby Rahal, of course.
He can drive a bit.
He's all right.
Yeah.
Now, when you say, does he have dealerships too?
We do. We have, well, after this year, we'll be over 20 stores, but Porsche is not one of them. So actually, which is kind of funny because you know I grew up, you know my grandfather was a huge, I would say just kind of a SCCI club racer, but actually did quite well in his time. But he always raced Porsches, so 904, 906. Wow. Back when nobody wanted to own those, you know, and now we all know what they're worth. But, you know, so my dad grew up loving Porsches, and then he had Porsches, so I grew up loving Porsches. So you and I have always connected on that.
So wait, this allocation he's getting, this is a personal allocation for him?
Yeah, it's from Porsche. So we just sent it through whatever dealers of choice at the time for Dad. And, you know, but I got to help him spec it out.
I didn't know he liked the new stuff. Does he like the new stuff, or is he only old
stuff?
stuff?
Well, I mean, he's mainly old stuff, you know, but he likes the new. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, it's good stuff, but
is he going to do touring package? Is he going to do manual transmission?
I think we're gonna do touring manual.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
And
he's not. Yeah, I mean, the big wing and this and that. That's not his thing.
That's right. That's what I was thinking. Now he can't paint to sample either. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of people talking about paint to sample. They're not going to do it anymore because they just got too many orders.
That was his was a paint to sample.
Right.
And we got a call 2 days ago from Porsche and said, hey, unfortunately, they've stopped selling all paint to sample after, I want to say, April. So they're just not going to make them after that, so that's it. So then, you know, Bob's like, oh, well, because he was going to do a normal GT3, and we're going to do the paint to sample, signal yellow, classic Porsche color. And the whole deal. That's Bob's color, signal yellow.
I've been thinking about that all weekend because Garth from Gooding was up in Malibu with his signal yellow car. And I was just thinking, I wonder if anybody's going to build signal yellow. There you go.
Yeah, and
he can't do it.
And then he got the call no. So then I said, well, we might as well switch it to a touring model and do something kind of funky. But there's only about 5 standard colors. Right?
I know,
and
it's not an exciting color palette right now.
No, so you end up white, silver, black.
chalk.
normal.
But I mean, the
Which
colors...
chalk is cool, but chalk is everybody's doing chalk. I mean,
Right.
literally, like every GT3 that comes for sale is chalk.
Right.
So,
3/4, they said, of the regular orders.
It's crazy.
But the exciting colors aren't so exciting this time. Like lava orange is a little salmon colored. It's not quite the orange we wanted.
Yeah, lava's not a real RS orange or
Miami blue looks great in pictures, but it really looks Mexico blue and Riviera blue. But in person, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it's a weird color in person.
Yeah.
It does, photos it looks like, like you said, Riviera, Mexico, what people are kind of used to, and then in person it doesn't look like that at all. But
do you know who has the best?
Who knows?
You know who has the best color palette right now? Subaru. Do you ever look at the new Subarus? You ever drive by the Subaru lot and look at the colors? They are absolutely gorgeous.
Graham?
I can't say I do.
No, me neither.
They are not.
Subaru is my first car.
Check
though.
it out when you go. You're home and you got something to do. Check out the color palette that Subaru has right now. It's all non-metallic, beautiful greens and blues and taupes. And I just look at them and I go, where are my Porsches in this color?
You know who else has a big color palette? Honestly, is we own a couple Mercedes stores, and they do a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not paint to sample, quote unquote, but they do have a wide. If you go into a dealer, they have a wide variety of Designo paints that go on and on and on and on and on. So, I mean, honestly, you could pretty much come up with anything,
right?
Without being a paint to sample vehicle like Porsches, but.
Why is it so much easier for Mercedes to do that than Porsche?
I think it's easy for all of them to do. It's just whether they want to or not.
I think they totally screwed up. I think I think Porsche missed the trend that was happening, and they missed the people really wanted paint to sample cars that had caught on, and it's a big thing, and they weren't prepared, and they could have made money. And I like your thing about batching. Why didn't they batch?
Right. My idea. This is my idea. Batch 10 significant colors and then just send those cars, right?
Well, they did that, right? On the 2015
they
GT3,
did that, right? Exactly.
They sent 10 fashion grays, 10
exactly.
signal greens,
Right. They had
10
exactly
arena
right.
reds,
and we were chasing them.
But then again, that's what it creates. Is
it spurred?
But that's
it
okay.
makes this market the dealer's favorite term, ADM, right? Their market adjustment that they can, pretty much just put whatever price they want to on. It makes that worse,
right?
Because then, they know that they've got something special, so they're just going to gouge you, however they can possibly do that. I think what happened was it got so out of control, and I'm an offender. I got a paint to sample 911R. There's only 13 of those in North America. So I'm one of the lucky few that got one. Well, that's what I think really set this off, because you got pretty much hand-chosen by actually Germany to get one of those. And if you did, it was so valuable, so much more than just a standard 911R, and still is worth a lot more, that everybody thought, oh, well, I need to get paint to sample on the next one. And then Porsche felt, I can see a lot of guys, I felt bad they didn't get an R in that color, so now I'm going to give them paint to sample on whatever it may be. But then it opened these floodgates, and like you just said, it opened floodgates to where they couldn't control the fact that now everybody's Macan, GTS is a special color or whatever. So, it seemed like paint to sample, which was really what I always thought was for kind of a GT or performance car, now is all over the board and everything, and they just cannot sustain it. But who knows? I mean, they stop sailed pretty much everything, even on the GT2 RS. They've now kind of limited. If you got Visoc, you can't get paint to sample. But if you want paint to sample, you can't get Visoc.
Really?
Unless you're lucky.
Seinfeld
Seinfeld probably got both.
I don't think so. Hey, you don't have to wear your headphones, by the way. It's almost better that you don't, because we'll be in the room here and hang out together. There you go.
It's this trend I talked about where everyone needs to be special today. No one's going to buy just a standard 911.
They do, but what's wrong with that? They all want to go to a Cars and Coffee, and everybody wants to have something like that. See, we're starting the whole car thing is starting to mature a little bit. Right? We've been to multiple Cars and Coffee, and we see what gets attention, and there is a contingent of the car world that likes that attention and wants to come in and give the peace sign and wave and peacock. Yep, but there is, and you're right, and I think that's all right. I also would guess, Zuckerman, that there are some special models they're eager to make, and they got to make them quickly before this new 911 comes out, right?
We've heard.
And paint to sample, doesn't that slow down the process a lot? Don't we have to fill up the jets and then clean it out?
I think it does, and actually it's interesting. Yesterday, I got a paint to sample GT2 RS. My build is until June, and I got off the phone yesterday with Philip down at Porsche. You know Philip, and he's like, "Oh, we can't change your color now because they've already ordered the paint." Now that's 5 months on from now. But it's
How do you believe that?
I actually,
you don't.
Well, there's a bucket with Graham Rahal's name on it.
Well, hold on. I actually believe it because I think what you just said is right. I think they're trying to get these things out.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty much just trying to stop everybody from being able to do anything else, crank these cars out, and move on to the next thing that's going to make them money.
I guess, and then so I'm a schmuck because I could never make my mind up. So now my mind is made up for me. I've got a limited color choice.
Well, in my case, on my car, I literally didn't spec it. My dealer put in a color as a placeholder.
And what was it?
Amethyst.
Oh wow!
And
that's I love it.
Which is that's the color of my new GT3 coming, but. It's a bold color for a GT2 RS, but it's not really what I was going to go with. But again, I didn't even spec the thing, so it's going to show up however it shows up.
You know what, Zuckerman, you and I started at black as the best color for that car, and I'm specking it like an RS 4.0.
Right.
And I'm kind of coming back around to that.
I think
the
so.
simplicity
You read
of
my
that,
mind.
right?
It's a non-metallic black.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
with some
that's
red.
In Southern Cal, maybe that works, because it's sunny and it's.
No, it's hot.
Yeah, you get dust and stuff around here, but you have the rain and everything in the Midwest all the time where black just looks awful. But I'm not a black guy, so I guess
chalk is obviously another with a Weissach package. That looks awesome. I mean, I do like the gold wheels too. It's a mess. I had the GT3. I haven't even picked the color on that. The clock is ticking right now. And I put in a chalk just as a placeholder, and now I don't know what to do.
I'm going to sell 50% shares in my GT2 RS. This is going to be great. It's going to be the best Ponzi scheme I've ever had.
Where does that put me? I'm 50% of that. So you're just going to send 10 parts of your half?
No, I'm selling 10 parts of everybody's half, but but you're going to be. I'm letting you in on the secret.
I see.
So you're on the
you and
inside.
I clean up.
You and I clean up. I'm gonna cut you off a piece of this. You like it better?
Yeah, I don't care. As long as I have one car to drive every morning, I'm fine. I could care less what's in that garage when I open the door. How many commercials are we doing today, Will? What are we doing? What do we have to do? 1 break? 2 breaks? All right, we'll keep going for a little while before we do our first break. I want to talk about the boss of your team. Now, your dad is your boss. David Letterman is another boss, and then you have Lanigan, right? It's Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan.
Yeah.
And you know what you and I have in common? I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but I used to write for Dave back in the day. And a few years in, we decided to do a charity go-kart race. And I pitched it to Dave, and he was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We're racing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to race these go-karts." This is before he was involved in racing. He was just a car guy. And he said, "Yeah, of course." So we had this Letterman branded team, and on a Sunday, just these crappy little go-karts with Briggs and Stratton motors, and we were the Letterman team, and there was the UBS team and the Xerox team. It was just whatever was in New York at the time, right? And Sunday morning, my phone rings at 9 in the morning, and it's Dave. He goes, "Well, what's going on with the race?" And I'm like, "Who is this?" He goes, "It's Dave. I need to know where you guys are. My biggest fear is you're going to come in 5th, and I need you guys to come in 1st." And he was so. They were like, it was stupid. This is like a charity softball game where there are a few rounds. Hey, we're going to play softball and we're raising money. Before that, he came down to my office Wednesday and said, and by the way, just doesn't do that. He's done it twice. He did it twice in 5 years. The first time he was avoiding Leno. Leno was in the building, and he was hiding from him. "Hey, Spike, just coming to say hi." And I'm like, "What the hell are you doing there? Am I getting fired? What is this? You have a camera on in your little corsage there? Is this a bit?" The second time was this other one. He goes, "Why are you still here?" I'm like, "Well, it's 11 on a Wednesday, Dave. I got to write the top 10 list, got to write monologue jokes." He goes, "We got a race this weekend, and I need you to make sure that cart's going to go a little faster than the other carts.
punching Dad.
I go, what do you mean? He goes, I don't know what I mean, but you ought to be talking to the speed shops down in Long Island and finding out. And I'm like, so you're okay if I leave the office? He goes, yeah, get out of get going on this. And he was not joking. And, I start calling speed shops, and they're like, well, there's purple gas. I'm like, what's purple gas? They're like, that's racing gas, and we can play with the springs, and there's a governor on that engine. We can pull it off. And he's like, you're not winning unless you're winning, Spike, with a little wink. And we get to this race with this motor that I had gone through. Some would call that cheating. Others would say you're just doing everything you can to compete. And we won. We won every race. And at the end of the race, what I did not know is there was a motor inspection.
Oh, nice.
And the judges were wondering why we were going faster than everybody else, because it was supposed to be like the International Race of Champions, even cars.
Yeah.
And they looked in the motor, a little flashlight in the gas tank, and they saw the purple, the amethyst, like glowing. And he took a look at the engine. He goes, oh, those aren't the spark plugs we started with. And we were busted. We were busted for cheating in a charity race.
I have never heard this story. This is a terrific story.
And his worst fear came true. We were busted down from first place, we had won, to fifth place. They literally took the trophy out of my hands. Dave was calling every half hour for updates as we won every race. But, boy, he really cares about winning. And I'm not implying that you cheat on your team in any way. The story is about, I was so surprised at about how passionate he is about racing.
Well, it's interesting because with us, I think without a doubt, he takes it really seriously. We don't see Dave, as much as we like. And, he comes out, I don't know, maybe... Well, lately, I don't know, 6-7 times a year.
He was in Florida when we came out there.
He's coming back St. Pete this year, I'm told. But so a couple years ago, every time he'd show up, we'd have some sort of bad luck. And it was crazy to me because he almost was apologetic as if it was him every single time. Like he took it so seriously that he felt like he was responsible. For whatever was going on. But then, and I can't remember where it was, but he was there one day and God, I can't remember if we won. I think it was maybe when we won at Mid-Ohio. But either way, he was there. We finally broke the curse. He was extremely excited that he was able to stand there on the podium with us and stuff. So we're kind of beyond that. But, the thing people don't realize is he's been involved a lot longer than people think. So my dad met Dave in the early 80s. And Dad was on... In fact, you could go look up the show. Dad's driving a sleigh like Santa at Christmas. And it just pans to him, and he's sitting there with fake reindeer in front of him in a sleigh, whatever. And after that, Dave kind of mentioned to him, hey, someday I'd like to be involved, whatever. So they actually teamed up in the early 90s.
Wow, okay.
But most people don't know that.
No.
Because he was a silent partner, really, until 2004 when they announced Rahal let him in racing.
Right.
So he's been a part of this for a long time. He's won the Indy 500 as a team owner. He's excited by this whole deal. As you guys know, he's from Indianapolis. He loves the stuff. He shows up in May every single time. It's a big deal for him. So, we've always been excited to have him. I hope, that we can continue to see him more. I know that, it's a big thing for he and obviously for Harry, his son, to be a part of, to come out. And Regina comes too, but I think, the family thing, father-son thing is a big part of it. But he's such a unique guy, and he's so different to us when he comes to the races, or just me when he texts or whatever, than I'd ever expect him.
He's racing Santa Claus when he's there. He's like the big beard, and he's rolling around waving, and he's got the kooky Jerry Garcia glasses on with the purple.
Always.
He's happier
with
than
his boots, and cargo shorts.
He's happier than I've ever seen him, and he was with Brian Williams. They flew down on the jet together, and they were fun. They were a funny pair.
He always brings somebody cool. Brian Williams came there, but then at Indy 2 years ago, we had Tom Brokaw, who
roll call.
I mean, I grew up, all of us, I feel like, grew up, that was the voice that we knew.
Yeah, there you go.
On the news. And so it was cool to be able to sit before the Indy 500. I was trying to relax in the bus, and they were there, but it was cool to sit and just ask them questions,
But
about
don't you feel nervous?
Stuff.
I mean, if I were racing for my dad and David Letterman, all right, two people I kind of care about what they think of me, it would be a lot of pressure on me. Do you feel that pressure?
Actually, the guy that I worry about keeping happy the most is Lanigan.
Now, Lanigan, let's paint a picture of Lanigan.
Okay, well, Mike is the guy nobody's ever heard of.
I never met Lanigan, and the second after I met Lanigan, I have not stopped talking about Lanigan.
Well,
he's such a funny character. He's always smoking a cigarette. He's walking around, and he's fixated on the monitors.
He's a larger than life character.
Yeah,
he's a self-made man who
he's got a lot of money.
If you
Something
go
involving
into the port of Long Beach.
That's right.
Every single one of those cranes is his.
That's Lanigan.
And
right?
He is a guy who literally, self-made, and he owns a production company with Charlie Ebersol. He's, produces that show West Texas Investors Club, and The Prophet was originally his, and on and on. He's like involved in everything, in everything. But actually, when it comes down to our team, he is the guy who's responsible for all the financials. He's the one that all the sponsorship all runs through him. So when I negotiate for my new contracts, it's always with Mike. I never deal with my dad on anything, or Dave, obviously, on anything like that. It's always Mike. So Mike is the guy you gotta, and he's like a second father to me. Actually, I started racing for Mike in 2006 in Formula Atlantic. Before I was even racing professionally, Mike owned part of the team. Then I raced for him at Newman Haas. He bought into Newman Haas at the end of that deal, and I raced for him for a handful of years there. And then it just so happened to be that he and my dad hit it off, and when Newman Haas kind of folded, he bought in with my dad, and they went racing. And then I joined there 2 years later. So I've actually driven for Mike. Mike's probably invested more in my career than my own dad has. So he's a big, big, big part of my life, and so he's the guy I worry about the most. Dave, I never really hear from Dave much unless it's about cars or you or I don't know.
Right.
Well,
we're going to get into that because you buy and sell cars too. We'll be right back with more Graham Rahal. Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother, has just announced he's giving away his personal and fully customized Model 3 Tesla for charity. Well, that's cool. They're partnered with Omaze, the online fundraising platform, and one lucky person is going to win the 6th Model 3 Tesla ever made, courtesy of Mr. Musk. It has everything from voice-activated controls, Wi-Fi, LTE connectivity, premium audio sound, LED fog lamps, long-range battery. Taxes are covered too. Wow, that is a sweet deal. You can enter for as little as $10, and all the proceeds will benefit Big Green, Kimball's own initiative to provide healthier futures to kids through learning gardens and food literacy programs. A winner is going to be randomly selected at the end of the campaign. So, to enter, visit omaze.com/spike. That's OMAZE.com/spike. Plus, Omaze is a really great find. Check out their other experiences while you're there. They've got one with William Shatner, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and others. Don't forget to use promo code SPIKE to double your chances of winning on any of these. Wow, I'm going to do that. And rest easy knowing that even if you aren't the lucky winner, it's all for a good cause. Think about it, folks. You might be able to win Elon Musk's brother's Tesla. I'm in.
Hey humans, David Smalley here from the Dogma Debate Podcast, right here on Podcast One, where we talk about all the things you're not supposed to discuss at work: religion, politics, abortion, racism, slavery, and that's only when we open the Bible. We discuss Islam, Islamophobia. What does that even mean? We chat with vegans, animal rights activists, and even visit factory farms to see it for ourselves. I invite people from multiple backgrounds to convert me into their worldview. But as long as they're okay with being respectfully challenged, you better bring your evidence. And I never lose sight of how both the left and the right are seeming to lose their minds. So basically, we're solving all the world's problems right here on Dogma Debate. And you've been missing it. Download Dogma Debate on iTunes, Stitcher, or podcast1.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back. Spike's Car Radio. We touched upon it right before the break. You are in down season, right? When you're not out there racing, getting in shape for the next IndyCar season, you buy and sell cars, right? You're a broker. You're kind of a Richard Rollins. You're a hustler. You're fast and loud, but in the nice stuff. Is that an accurate description of what you do?
I don't know. Yeah,
You once told me that you are addicted to the sale.
I am. No, I'm
You can admit it. This is a commendable thing.
I have an issue.
Good.
And I without a doubt, I love that the art of making a deal and chasing and selling. And
so how does it work with you? Do you have a site that you put stuff up on, or
Well,
do you just buying stuff privately and then letting your friends know and selling it to them?
So it used to be I just did it all, privately.
Mm-hmm.
Now I started a performance shop. So
What's the name of the shop?
Just Graham Rahal Performance, based in Indianapolis. We do a lot of stuff with Porsches. Acura NSX is one of our biggest areas of focus. Then obviously being in the Midwest, you do get a lot of cool trucks.
Right. But you're also doing exhaust for GT3s.
Yeah, I do.
Every time one of my friends posts a GT3 on the Instagram.
And you still haven't sold one for me yet.
You're the worst. Texting me like,
you're the worst salesman.
Sell
I've
them
ever
one
had.
of my mufflers. I kind of have other stuff to do, Graham, but I'll
No,
let them know.
It's easy. It's
Well,
easy. You just got to get them the website and boom.
Zuckerman has like 10 GT3s. Pitch us your mufflers right now. I want to hear about them. I haven't even asked you about them. I want to know.
So the muffler, what we do is, you guys know this on a stock GT3. You have 3 mufflers, 2 sides and a center. And the sides are the ones that retain the valves. So normally you don't want to remove the sides unless you want the thing ridiculously loud. So we remove the center, so it retains the stock button, the stock valving. Ours, basically is 2 4-inch tips. It's an X-pipe design, so that it merges the gases. And the way ours does it versus a lot of the competitors is that the 2 pipes actually blend together. There's no connecting pipe that goes across the back, or actually RSS is kind of the most similar to us, except it's a much smaller, like a 2.5-inch diameter. Ours is pretty big, so it gives it a deeper tone to a GT3, pretty crisp. Either way, it's awesome, and that's our hottest seller.
Does it change performance or just sound?
No, this is really just a sound thing. Now we are working on a side muffler. A lightweight side muffler that will retain the valves, but you could do them both as a combination. It will improve the performance or remove a lot of weight. You do remove like about 13 pounds with the rear muffler, which, as you guys know, in a Porsche, the rear weight is the main issue.
What about passing California emissions?
Yeah, there's no problem because you still have all the cats and you still have the big side mufflers. The center really
comes
does
with a gift
nothing
certificate for the Hungarian Zuckerman.
A guy, we know a guy.
Yeah.
A guy we know.
No, so it's all good. That's our hottest selling piece, honestly. We've sold, we probably sell 20, 30 of them a month, So, for us, really the biggest thing is getting production times, cut down.
Where do you make these things?
They're made out east now. They were made here in Southern California, but a lot of our production and stuff we're taking back to Indianapolis. And Indy, with all the racing and all the cottage industry, we have the best fabricators in the world there. We really do. So a lot of the products, we're taking back there and making everything, right down the street from our facility. We can control it better. We know the quality's better, and it also helps us from a cost perspective. And just people a little bit more reliable in the Midwest, I feel like. So we're going with that.
This guy sounds like a real businessman.
All right, but really the question was, where do I sell cars?
Yeah.
Forget about that stuff. So now I do a lot of it through our dealerships. Originally, it was all kind of fun, and I did it myself. And in the state of Indiana, which is where my residence is, it's all good because you get a tax credit, new, used, whatever. Mm-hmm. So as long as I was always trading into something, I was always keeping my tax. But the issue with that is, like, when you're doing, 1 year I did like 50 cars. I don't want to go to the BMV that much. And plus, at some point, you just have to be considered a dealer.
Right.
And so now I kind of do it through the dealership. And it's become more actually fun than even a profit machine for me, because a lot of times I'll just let the dealership keep the profits if there is any, because try to help. I mean, it's a family business, try to help them out. But it's just something I've always enjoyed. In recent times, with the performance shop, with IndyCar racing, with my wife's racing, I don't do nearly as much as I used to do with that stuff. So most everything I buy now is just literally to enjoy, to have fun with, to drive. So that's the way it's turned. But about 4 or 5 years ago, it was a business. I was properly doing this to make a living. So
Right.
It was fun.
Zuckerman, we got to do it. We got to.
I know.
It's stupid that you and I have not started our
schmucks.
own dealership, and we just get a space down
And
at
we
the
could
airport.
have been Competition Motors. We let that go.
We can do whatever we want. Well, no, we can work
I
with
figured you guys would have one.
I know.
The old Porsches and stuff?
I know.
With 10% tax in California, no. I'm too
in
busy.
California, it kills
We
you.
got as far as the dealership license application and the rest of it, and then we went about our merry way. We all have different businesses. I'm in entertainment. He's in law. This Porsche thing, but you know what? We're going to do this because we're having so much fun buying and selling cars right now and sorting these things. It's the next logical iteration of what we're doing, right? And now we don't have to register stuff, really. We get our dealer plates on stuff. We drive it, we sort it, we sell it, we have our fun.
You pay sales tax every time you buy something.
Maybe. Of course
yeah,
you
but
do.
still, you get...
What would we call our dealership?
Huh?
What would we call it?
Damani. I think it should be really gross. It should have a really horrible gold logo that says Damani.
Well, wait, we
really
could do
obnoxious.
your grandfather's name and my father's middle name, Morris Solomon. Morris Solomon Used Car Works.
Morris Solomon would be great. Yeah. Oh, we have lots of ideas here that we can do. Let's take some questions. I posted that you were going to be here a minute ago, and we've already got a ton of questions. A very, very passionate Spike's Car Radio audience, Zuckerman. I don't know if you've met these folks out in the world. They're fantastic, and they're very engaged with what's going on, unlike you, who's sitting there texting. Okay. What are your thoughts on the new GT3 RS that were leaked online, including the green interior? Do you know what they're talking about?
Yeah, this lizard green interior is kind of weird.
Wait, what is that?
Well, the exterior color is called lizard green, but the interior's got like a lizard print.
Is that the car you sent me the other day, Zuckerman?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, what are you
It's a
talking
new
about?
GT3 RS. It's coming out. They're releasing it like...
It's a new color.
Yeah,
no,
but,
I know the new model's coming out.
Yeah, but you know the launch color. Here, I'm going to pull it up.
Oh, there's a launch color.
You know
okay.
the launch color. They always do something funky. So the new launch color is called lizard green.
And there's a green interior.
And the interior...
Without seeing it, can I tell you what I think? It's horrible. It's horrible.
Well,
I saw the spy shots of the car this morning, and that looked beautiful, and it was in black. That was spectacular.
Yeah, here you go. Look at this.
Show it to us.
It's not attractive.
Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, that's bad.
It's like a dotted interior. It's like a dotted lizard print
Zuckerman.
centers.
That's going to be a big seller in 2050, though.
Yes.
Hey, I do like when you just look up lizard green
in
GT3.
2050.
In 2050?
In 2050, people are going to be like, wow, that was a really cool and bold choice.
Not
until then.
I'll stick with Houndstooth.
Mark Frank Owiek wants your thoughts on Watkins Glen not being on the 2018 Indy calendar.
Well, I'm obviously disappointed by that. I mean, I think that Watkins is one of the best tracks in this country. But at the end of the day, I mean, you gotta sell tickets, and I mean, you guys know this. You go to Long Beach. I mean, Long Beach gets a couple 100,000 people. You go to Watkins Glen, you only get 20,000. It doesn't work.
Right.
So, unfortunately, now we'll say we've had some bad luck there with weather. I mean, it's rained the last 3 years straight, but it is what it is. You got to move on, and I'm excited to go back to Portland. I've actually had more people comment that they're going to Portland than anywhere else this year, which is very surprising.
Yeah,
I would say. But nobody really races in the Pacific Northwest, and it's a big market. So I'm excited to go back there. It'll be cool.
Have you ever, Zuckerman? I know you've been to Long Beach Grand Prix. I've gone down the last few years, and the Indy folks give me ride-alongs, and did one with Mario Andretti, and it's incredible. You should definitely. We got to have Zuckerman down. I want him to have this experience
Have you ever been?
Especially
Many years ago,
the Long Beach Grand Pre track is one of the scariest things I've ever been on in my life. It's got these big cement barriers everywhere.
Well, you got to come down.
Wait, but potholes.
Yeah, but that's
normal. And it feels like the track is this thick, and you were flying along at the speed of like what I guess a comet flies at. Like every ride along I've done, that little tandem ride where Mario Andretti's in the front and I'm sitting in the back, feels like a dream sequence when you go through the wormhole. And I don't know how. I don't know how you relax in that situation. I don't know how you're seeing that stuff.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't ride along with anybody.
But I mean, it's impressive that you can get a car around the track, that you can even pass anybody there. I mean, where do you pass somebody on that track?
Well, there's a few spots, and I think the new IndyCar, for those who haven't seen it, the new IndyCar is a lot sexier. It's more sleek, and it's going to be faster, so it will allow us to pass easier than the cars of the past. So I'm looking forward to that, but. Long Beach is it's a historic venue. I mean, it really hasn't changed much since the 70s.
He's not afraid of anything. He's just not afraid of anything.
No, but you know what's weird is, like, I agree. The first time you go on it, it's daunting. But the first time you go into turn one at Indy is far more daunting.
And,
right. Eventually you kind of get you get used to that, and you realize that the risk reward and all that's part of the whole deal. But if you haven't been, you got to come. If it's been a while. Come on down. We'll get you a 2-seater ride.
Yeah.
And
I want to see that. Let's put a GoPro on your head.
And it would be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun because people
you see me puking.
People haven't done it before. You got to just experience it.
I have to ask you a question. Your father, a tremendous racer. How much of this in you is genetic, and how much is nature and nurture? What is the percentage?
Well, we always laugh in my family. We just every time something happens. We just basically somebody will always scream out genetics because it is my dad and I are the same person. That simple. We think the same. We talk the same. If he was sitting here, he'd sound identical to me. I mean, I think it's all, I think most of it is genetics. Our love for cars. I might be worse than him, but I mean, there's no doubt that is genetics. I mean, it's just a weird thing. I mean, I guess, I grew up around it for sure. I grew up, my dad always had cool toys and I that's why, I have a 64 Mini S. When I was a little kid, my dad had a mid 60s Mini, and I'd sit in the garage and, pretend to shift it and everything else. And I'm 5-6 years old. So I fell in love with that at a young age, but so maybe some of it is nurture, but to me, I think that a lot of it is just
you're born into
you're born, you love it or you don't.
And your wife is a speed freak too. So if you two, do you have kids?
No,
your kids are destined to be super champions.
I hope not. I'm hoping they're going to be, playing at Riviera today, like all the rest of the PGA boys, making a lot more money, a lot safer. There's no risk. No risk.
Getting back to these drives, I was. I've done it before. So you're suited up, you're waiting on the track, and you say yes to this thing, right? And then when you get down to the track and you have the fire suit on, you got the helmet on, you start to get a little nervous, right?
Well, yeah.
Now, this is just the ride-along, right? And you're standing there. The first time I went down with my wife and kids. It was so much fun. And I'd gone around the track with Hurley Haywood. I knew what I was in for. But there's always an actor there and a comedian. And the last time I was there, it was Topher Grace. He was there. And he's a little white, very nervous. And he's like, "What is this going to be like?" And I'm like, "Did you eat a big breakfast? Are you nervous? Have you ever been on a track before?" And he's like, "Well, no. Well, you're going to go out first, and the tires are going to be cold, so hang on." And they're terrified. And the experience, Zuckerman, that I want you to have is this is like mainlining. When you get in that car and you do that lap and you get back, you feel like you just mainlined coffee. It wakes you up in a way that no other experience has woken me up. I imagine it's what the flying squirrel suit does when you jump off a mountain and you land safely.
Pure adrenaline, and you're not in control.
Pure adrenaline, and you'll be the most awake you've ever been in your life and happy. I don't know how else to describe it.
And then you crash.
No,
when is the crash?
There was never not a crash for me.
No, I'm talking about the adrenaline crash. When later, an hour later, you're slumped over.
Nah, you should be good.
All right. People want to know what's in your. We already talked about your color. Singleton wants to know. These are all Instagram names. But why is your color palette so extreme? Your 911R, your 918. Why extreme colors?
Well, okay, so the 918 was really what started it. And when I got the 918 and when I went to order that thing, again, I just thought, okay, not that a 918 is common, but, what do you do that's completely off the wall? And I was shocked at the time, and my car was the last 918 built for the USA. So obviously, I was one of the last guys to order the thing. And I was shocked to find out that nobody had ordered Viper Green worldwide. I mean, you know this, Spike, but Viper Green is
awesome
the
color.
classic Porsche color.
Very close to Conda Green.
So I immediately got to do Viper Green. So I did Viper Green, did custom stitching, did everything else. But then right after I did that,
have you seen that car, Zuckerman?
I have not.
It was at Long Beach last time I was there.
Yeah, so
exceptional.
So I do this, and next thing I know, my dealer decides that he's going to order his personal GT3 RS in Viper Green and basically replicate my 918. So at that point, yeah, exactly. That's what I said. So at that point, I'm like, all right, now I got to move on. Now I got to
I think everybody listening can relate to this issue.
Yeah, right.
When your dealer orders his GT3, same color as your 918.
He's a dick.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's happened to all of us.
Yeah, right. So at that point, I was like, okay, now it's time to do something different. So then I went for chartreuse on the 911R. Well, it showed up, and to be honest, it was not my favorite color right away.
Uh-huh.
But I actually have come to really like it. But it's kind of a deeper, more, I don't know what the term is. Almost like a brownish green. I know that sounds awful, but it's like, I don't know, a different tone. So I really enjoyed that. But in the 911R, of the paint to samples, a lot of them were green. Now, granted, a couple of them were birch green or really bright, and mine's not. So it is one of one in the world, but it's a little bit different. So then, I decided that I need to make a UE on the greens because I think it seems like the green has become the popular choice. So, on my GT3, I went purple, and sounds like my GT2 is going to be purple by accident.
Wow.
And, but I mean, right now, what everything that I do, every time I spec a Porsche in particular, I just try to do something that's a classic Porsche color. So my dad always does signal yellow. I really wanted my GT2 RS to be tangerine, which is 73.
Yeah,
my dad has
sure.
a 27 RS 73 in tangerine. So I wanted to do tangerine, and now I can't change it, but I try to do everything with a classic tie-in.
The classic colors.
But it's becoming hard because a lot of guys, we talked about how popular paint to sample is. A lot of guys are doing the blues and the greens, which are the most well-known colors of the time. Ruby Stone has become popular. Mint green popular. So it's hard to do anything that's different now. I mean, you could do yellows, but there's a lot of signal yellows out there.
If you want to be truly rebellious, just move right into the Cadillac colors.
Yeah.
Just paint your Porsche that color. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Graham Rahal. Here's some useful car tips you might not be aware of. A coffee filter and a little bit of olive oil can clean your interior. Removing excess weight from your car will improve gas mileage, and you can place your key fob to your chin. That's right, the chin on your face, to increase its range. Weird, right? Well, here's another tip you also might not know about. TrueCar also helps people get used cars. That's right, TrueCar isn't just for buying new cars. With their certified dealer network and nationwide inventory of nearly 1 million used cars, you'll enjoy real pricing on actual inventory and a simpler buying experience whether you buy new or used. And with TrueCar, users can see what others paid, so they know if they're getting a good deal before buying. They're also more likely to enjoy a faster buying experience by connecting with TrueCar certified dealers. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, check out TrueCar and enjoy your more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
The Browns. The Browns. What about the Browns, you say? I say no Browns. I had a brown 911, the sepia brown 74 911, my very first car. So it was brown, chocolate milk brown, with a tan and black interior. Hideous car that I absolutely loved. It had 200,000 miles on it. I bought it for $6,000. It never really broke down on me. It was a car I drove in New York. I would lend it to my friends. We'd all hop in it, 4 or 5 people sometimes, and drive down to Tribeca and go out in it. What a car that was. And I brought it out here to L.A. when I got hired on Seinfeld. It was the basis for my friendship with Jerry. He saw it in the parking lot, and he said, right idea, wrong example. Sell that piece of crap and get a 73, which I did. And I miss that car. I donated that car. You know that scam we do where you donate it to charity and you take the deduction? I donated it to the Make-A-Wish folks and made a little money on it, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. And,
I saw actually a new GT3 in brown.
Ooh.
On you follow that guy on Instagram? PTS.
Oh yeah,
RS
that's
or
right.
whatever.
Yeah, those guys were trying to get in touch with us. They wanted to come by and hang out with us, with like a lot of these our Instagram buddies do. We're a huge
famous.
We are, and we're a huge fan of your Instagram site, sir. And we look forward to meeting you. If you do want to meet us, we're usually at the Malibu Kitchen on the weekends. That's our little time to we're not just out there to meet you folks. This is our little break time to have coffee with each other and talk about cars. But feel free to come by and say hi when we're out there and
make it quick.
Make it quick. Take a picture.
Quick hello. And then
you love it, Zuckerman. You absolutely love it. And we do like meeting you and seeing your cool cars, especially the Instagram friends who
sometimes turn out to be 12-year-olds.
Well, the Paint to Sample guys, that feed is fantastic because it gives you an opportunity to see what someone else is doing and it helps inform your decisions, right?
Absolutely.
It does help.
What was the blue we were all just going over? Me, you, and Jerry, Zuck.
It was Oslo, right?
No,
Golf blue.
Golf blue, not golf blue. Golf blue.
GOLF.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Golf is a cool.
And there
it's similar to Oslo.
Right.
Kind of a deep blue.
All right, Jay Wirtz, 77, who I think might be a friend of yours, wants to know if we have time. Ask Graham about his Buick Regal rental car story.
Ah. Okay, so I was. A couple years ago, I was having a rough year in IndyCar. Just nothing would go right.
Right.
So I get this Buick Regal GS or whatever the turbocharged whatever is. And we're at Sonoma, last race of the year. It's been a brutal year. And I have to go do a sponsor appearance. We're staying in Napa, and the sponsor appearance is in Sonoma. And so those two aren't that far by the crow flies, but kind of difficult to get back and forth. So it tells me to go out through American Canyon, take the freeway. But then I see this road called Trinity Road, and it goes over the mountaintop. And like any of us, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. We're going to go for it. So I get over there, and it's an unbelievable road. On the way back, I decided I'm going to try to break the speed record over Trinity Road.
And now wait, you're in a Buick Regal.
I'm in a Buick Regal GS Turbo.
Right.
But
and
I'm
where
telling
did you
you
get
something.
This is a rental car.
This is my rental car. But Spike, I'm telling you right now, I rediscovered my love for driving on that road in a Buick Regal GS over 20 minutes. I have never had more fun thrashing a car, throwing it around. The thing was pretty darn responsive. Didn't handle too bad. Had pretty good low pickup. But I got back to the hotel. I had the biggest smile on my face. My stepdad's like, what are you smiling about? I said, I'm telling you right now, I remember why I love driving. It just hit me. In that 20-minute drive, it hit me.
Wow.
And I told John about this. John and I share the passion of Ducatis. Mm-hmm. And he lives in Indianapolis. And so, we've connected over the years in this, and John actually, he works for a big fan company, ceiling fans called Fanimation, and so he came over to my house to install a fan one day, and he pulled up in a Buick Regal, and I was like, I got to tell you a story about that thing. That is so much fun. So it surprised me. I know you're looking at me like
I'm not. No, I've had that experience. I mean, when my kids were really young, I was, every weekend we go out into the canyons and we drive. And when my kids were really young, I remember one Saturday morning where my wife was like, look, I've got something to do. And my mother-in-law was there and two of the kids. And I'm like, I really could use a drive. And I've taken all manner of vehicle out into the canyons. I remember that was a Mercedes E350. And then I did another drive with my mom and the kids in my Prius, and I'm talking about the canyons like Encinal Canyon. And it was still great because of the road, because of the temperature, the windows open and everything else. And it wasn't about the car, and every car had a different challenge, but it was also just the driving, like you're saying.
That's that's the thing. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter necessarily what car it is. You can have a riot and have a good time. That's what I love about, driving.
Right.
Is exactly what you just said. Growing up in the Midwest, blasting down the back roads, music blaring, windows down in the summer. Those are the things that make it fun, and so to go do that, which if you haven't been over Trinity Road and if you're listening and you live up that way, try it. It's awesome. But either way, you can have so much fun in almost anything.
Yeah,
Heck, I drove a minivan around the Nordschleife and the Nürburgring in the rain, and we had a blast. So, I mean, you can really have fun in anything. It's just, in that moment, the year had been so rough.
Right.
Not just the year. 2 years had been so rough in IndyCar that, you realize as a guy who's made a living doing this, you realize, man, is this really... Do I love this? This is getting brutal. And just, seeing the dollars hit the bank account isn't what it's all about. It's about the love and the enjoyment of doing what I'm doing. And at some point it hits you like, man, this is not fun. This is not fun. But then you have a moment like that and you recognize, no, this is why I do it. This love for driving and being competitive and everything else, this is what fuels me. And so in that moment, it just reinvigorated the whole thing.
Isn't that amazing?
And
people they don't think about driving, Zuckerman, in the way that we've all had this experience. I think about a drive across the country with my friend who was helping move from Colorado back to Boston in college, and how that drive changed my life. I was taking some time off from college, and I'm just driving through the middle of nowhere somewhere in Nebraska. It's just open road and dead animals and big eagles, and he's sleeping. And I'm just looking around going, I got to go back to school.
Right.
I'm responsible for my life, not my parents. It was, I was only 18 years old, or maybe 19, I guess, at that point. But it really turned my life around. A drive completely turned my life around. I went right back to school. I started studying hard. I started getting good grades, and it changes my life. And that thing you're talking about when you're down, I mean, we do it every weekend, right? That's why we're out there. There's a point where I leave my house and I get on the PCH where suddenly I go, and everything's just fine again.
I'm a pretty distracted guy, and I get pretty busy and wrapped up and stuff. And my wife tells me I work way too much and I don't, relax or spend time. But it's amazing what a really great drive can do for you to recharge your batteries. I went up to Monterey a couple years ago. This is when I first got my 918. And, I was going to ship the car home back to Southern California. My wife grew up here, so we have a place out here. And so I was going to ship, and then I thought, you know what? I'm by myself, but I'm going to do this. And I'm going to just go down PCH, and I'm going to take the top off this thing. Even if it's freezing cold, I just put a jacket on. I'm going to put my phone down for 6 hours, and I'm just going to let loose. And, well, of course, you can't let loose in the sense of speed on PCH through there, right? Because there's people everywhere.
And it's a dangerous road.
I left at about 5:30 a.m., and I have never had a more exciting, exhilarating, enjoyable time in my life.
Yeah.
To get back down here and literally just feel like it makes sense of why you work hard, right? You everybody, you bust your butt all week for years and however long, and you feel like you're just pounding your head against the wall. You're on the road, you're traveling. Last year, I traveled about 270 days, and you just feel like, what am I doing, all the time? But then you go and do something like that, And it literally just makes it all seem like, okay, I'm ready to go back and do it again.
Perspective shift. And we did that, me, you, and Jerry, 1 year after Monterey. We said, let's just get in these cars.
I love that.
And drive down,
go.
and it was fantastic.
It's such a funny thing that none of us, we have to get that idea when we're up there. We're like, wait a minute, we have these cars. We only live 5 hours away. Maybe we should drive home. I did it. I've done it a bunch of times. And the one I remember is the year everything was on fire, and it was about 120 degrees out, and I drove my Speedster home with the heat valves stuck in the on position. And it was still just an amazing drive. I put on the headphones and the Mark Maron, and I'd never listened to really any podcast. I was like, boy, I kind of see what this is, and it's fun. And now here it's kind of the reason why we're sitting here today. I thought there's a use for this stuff. There's a use for the podcast.
That's awesome.
Anyway, we're out of time. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of your questions. There were a lot more, but maybe next time we're here. Graham, thanks for stopping by. When does the season start? When does the Indy season start?
We start up in only a couple of weeks. March,
Wow.
St. Petersburg Grand Prix, and then we'll go off to Sebring. I'll do the 12-hour for Acura and Team Penske again. And then we head out this way, Phoenix and Long Beach. So
awesome, man.
We'll be back out here soon.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. I can't wait to see you and Dave down there again. Zuckerman, good to have you in, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
We've been killing it with shows. You know, we're going to take a little break now recording because we just got too many of them in the basket. You'll get a new show every Wednesday, don't worry, and you and I will be back in the studio making more shows very soon. Catch up with Zuckerman on Instagram on @TheRealZuckerman. His law firm is called
Carpenter, Zuckerman, and Rowley.
Where do
if you've been in an accident, or you or one of your loved ones, call us. We'll help you.
You wonder where Zuckerman gets the money for all his Porsches? It's all of the wins. He wins in the courtroom, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm at Spike Ferriston on Instagram. That's where I'm mostly interacting. Facebook, I might be done with that because of the whole Russian thing. And Twitter, for the same reasons, the Russians. So catch up with me on Instagram. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.